So this video is going to talk about writing the essay. So we're going to talk about topics, thesis statement, supporting ideas, and making a plan for your essay. So all of this that I'm going to talk about in this video is in your textbook. Remember, you can find your textbook by clicking on My Lab, and then while in My Lab, you can scroll down and click My Lab Writing Additional Resources. Then you click Student Tools, HTML Book, and then open up the alternate version of your ebook, which takes you to your Pearson ebook. You have a nice table of contents here, which you can click on the essay, and you can follow along with these things that we're going over in this class. Like I said, we're going to just go over these first few topics in this video, and then after that, we'll go into the rest of the essay. So the first thing we're going to look at is exploring topics, and it's very important because there's so many topics in the world, and in choosing one, you need to make sure you have a topic that you're going to write about. You think about your audience, or who is going to be reading your essay, and then finally your purpose for writing, for your writing. So do you plan to entertain, inform, persuade the reader, or do all three? So when you're choosing an essay topic, you don't want it to be too broad, that cover a large topic and doing too much. So for example, so here we have a student named David, and he was thinking about writing about music, but that's really too broad because, you know, there's different types of music. You want to do music history? Do you want to do effects of music, causes of music, comparing music? So there's many things. So he thinks about his audience, which is his English instructor, and the purpose of his assignment, which is to persuade. So here David makes a better thesis, more narrow, where he says rap and hip hop artists use their music to share their positive cultural values with others. So again, he has his topic more specific than just music. What kind of music? He's talking about hip hop, and he's talking about artists, and then what his opinion is. So let's examine exactly what a thesis statement is. Once you've narrowed your topic, you develop your thesis statement. And the characteristics of a good thesis statement is that it expresses the main topic of the essay. It contains a controlling idea. It is a complete sentence that usually appears in the essay's introductory paragraph. And also remember, sometimes it's not a sentence, but it could be a couple sentences. And another way of thinking about controlling idea is, I usually tell students, it's their opinion. So here goes an example of a thesis statement. So here you have the topic, which is marriage, and then the controlling idea has lost its importance for many young people in our society. So again, this is why I say controlling idea is kind of like your opinion, because you're saying something about the topic. So what is your opinion of the topic? You could easily say, in the controlling ideas, the type of sentence that you could say, I think many young people don't like marriage anymore. So again, it's still saying the same thing, but in a controlling idea. We usually don't use I and we and us in our thesis or in our formal essays because we like to try to keep things formal, and saying I, we, and us is not the most formal way. Here are some good questions to ask when you're writing your thesis. You have to ask yourself, is your thesis incomplete? Is it an announcement? Or is it a thesis statement? So incomplete, here's an example, gambling problems, right? That's not even a complete sentence. Announcement, I will write about lotteries. And I disagree with this one. I think it's fine, but instead of saying I or my, I think if you change it to, this essay will focus on lottery winners and how it does not lead to happiness, I think that's a fine thesis statement. But here's a good one. Winning the lottery will not necessarily lead to happiness. Again, we have the topic, winning the lottery, and we have the controlling idea or somebody's opinion. It won't lead to happiness. Here are some more questions to ask about your thesis. Can you support it? So sometimes things are obvious, meaning it's kind of like one of those things where you say, duh, everybody knows that. That's the kind of thing that you think about obvious. So there are many apps on smartphones. It's like, yeah, we all know that. That's obvious. Boring, another word to, talk about obvious. Invalid point, or a point that does not make sense. Cell phone apps are dangerous and useless. This statement is difficult to support. A better way to write this would be 3 types of cell phone apps are addictive and time wasting. So we're not talking about here. A lot of times when it's invalid to always say always, every time. So because can we say that all apps are dangerous, or are there some apps that are not dangerous? So that's usually a time when you have an invalid point. This is similar to what we were first talking about with David's essay, making a thesis too broad or too narrow. So vague means like it's unclear, where too narrow means it's like you won't be able to have enough ideas to write a full essay about it. So here's too broad or vague. Education is important. For whom is it important? What level of education will be discussed? This thesis needs to be more specific, and this is something that I write on students' essays a lot. Is it needs to be more specific. So here's an example: a college education provides students with financial, emotional, and social benefits. And again, I love it when students give three, like the 3 points that they're going to make in their essay. So it's a good way to kind of have the student know where they're going. So they know that paragraph 1 will be about financial, paragraph 2, body paragraph 2 will be emotional benefits, and then body paragraph 3 will be social benefits. Here's an example of a thesis that's too narrow. The tuition fee at our college is $6,000 a year. Again, number one is not really, there's no controlling idea here. It's just a fact or a statement, which doesn't help. And then on top of that, you're just talking about one college. Here's another example of thesis. Here's a weak thesis. My first job taught me many things. Again, it's okay, but to make it better, my first job taught me the importance of responsibility, organization, and teamwork. Again, I love it when the writer tells the reader exactly what the body paragraphs will be about. Here goes another good example of a good thesis. Topic money, narrow topic, winning the lottery. Just for you don't know, the lottery is one type of gambling where you go to a store and you buy a ticket and then you scratch it off and you try to see if you won the big prize. So this student is exploring the idea of winning lottery and how people that do win the lottery, rather than improving their life, winning the lottery can often lead to feelings of guilt, paranoia, and boredom. So this is what, again, a good thesis statement, having a controlling idea and guiding the reader. Now we're moving on to, after you write the thesis, you got to think about how you're going to support the thesis. And one of the key words in essay is unity. So an effective essay or a good essay has unity, or meaning it's all put together very well. So the body paragraphs support the thesis statement. And you plan. So we're going to talk about planning right now. To generate ideas for paragraphs, you could use exploring strategies such as brainstorming, clustering, or free writing. These are some of the ways I love to do brainstorming, or in other words, listing. So for example, going back to David's thesis, how hip-hop artists, music share their positive cultural values. This is a good example of listing where you're not taking a lot of time, you're not writing full sentences, you're just quickly just going and writing as many ideas as you can. And like he's doing here, he's kind of crossing off things that are not related to the topic, and then you organize your ideas. So like I said, he crossed out some things and highlight your favorite ideas. And key here is grouping ideas together that are related, because you want to have your essay be clear and coherent, or in other words, it's all connected. So going back to David's example, he's underlining what he thinks are like the controlling ideas or like the topic sentences for his paragraphs, and then connecting it with what he thinks will be support for that. And a good way to organize this after you do this is to make an outline. So this is like an informal outline. We have the thesis statement, David's thesis statement, and then he has body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, body paragraph 3, and we have a topic sentence at the top. Many musicians shout out powerful message of nonviolence, and then he's giving supporting details for that topic sentence. They are broken from gangster rap lyrics, encourage listeners to respect themselves and others. And then he goes into body paragraph 2, which gives another topic sentence. Some advise fans about responsible and healthy lifestyles. And then he gives examples of that, or details explaining what that means. They discuss the importance of good parenting. They talk about drug addiction or STIs. So like, for example, he might want to further go ahead and put another example right here of like a specific artist that does do this and how they did that. And body paragraph number 3, these urban musicians use their poetry to reveal their religious beliefs. Some show their Christian faith through the lyrics. Others praise Allah or show their Islamic faith in their lyrics. And concluding sentence, finally, music is a way of rap musicians to share their personal culture with their world. And again, concluding sentence is essentially your thesis, but written in a different way. So in our next class, I want you guys to in our next class, you're going to write about this topic. So go ahead and think about this, and then be ready in our next class to write about this. Rather than improving someone's life, money can lead to negative feelings of, and I'm gonna let you guys pick 3 different feelings. Here are some suggestions. Guilt, or feeling like you did something wrong. Paranoia, or feeling like somebody's always trying to get you. And boredom, which is the feeling of not having fun. So again, in our next class, we're going to take this, and I'm going to like you guys to be ready to try to give me some details and examples of how this could be true. All right.